wanted to ask you for a moment about the Tyson Jones fight everybody's talking about, because you were champion when Mike was still active.
Right.
What do you think of that fight?
Well, here's the thing. It's like, I've known Roy since I was 14. I love him to death. But I feel like he just kept boxing. He's wearing tear on his body,
Right.
For Mike, he stopped. He's fresh, revived. He hasn't hit nobody hungry. I mean, if they really go at it like they're supposed to, you think they will, because I heard there's so many stipulations in there. You can't be. If someone gets hurt, they're gonna stop. All these little things, but he's gonna be hungry and fresh. And Roy just I think carried a little bit too long.
Right. So even though Mike is in his 50s, it's like it's fresh, like you said. Yeah.
What's the last thing you lose? It's power, right? So I mean, Roy's been getting hit and just wear and tear on his body, and that's the only thing why I have the advantage for Mike.
You gotta forgive me because maybe you fought on a Tyson undercard at one point.
No. I wish.
Right.
I'd be fighting on this one.
Right. If they offered something,
if they offered something, I would definitely do that just because this is gonna be the biggest thing ever. No offense for it.
For that man.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but what was your favorite Mike Tyson performance that you could recall?
You know what? I just love Mike no matter what. Trying to think, probably when he had so many great moments and knockouts. It's just like. But just even like the Spinks just say, you mean? When you fight Spinks, everything is going to be a hard fight, 90 seconds. Then everybody's disappointed. How can you be disappointed when that's what you hope for, you look for?
You remember that Frank Bruno rematch when he came out of prison and he won the WBC? Yeah, and he dropped to the floor. And
who was it that he fought? Man, I was a young kid up in Marquette, Michigan. Was it Tucker, I think?
Yeah, and it took him 12.
Took him 12 rounds. He had Mike with an uppercut. And I remember Mike came up. That right there was one of the most memorable moments because it was me and Emmanuel Stewart as well. And a group of all of us, we were a team up there in Marquette, Michigan for I think it was national. So.
Wow, you knew Emmanuel too, of course.
Of course. Well, Emmanuel Stewart, they always been part of the Kronk team. He actually made trucks up for me and made everything up for me. And we was kind of like rivals up, in the city. I mean, we had Waddell Boxing with Johnny A. Smith over there, who's my godfather. So, and then we kind of like rivals. But when we go places, we're always one team, one unit, And I was with Emmanuel, and I was I like that watch. He said, oh, really? You were trying on, I'll get you one. And I tried his watch on, and it fit me perfect. So he said, I'll just keep it. So he gave me his watch over his own hand.
That was Emmanuel Stewart.
That was Emmanuel Stewart, and that's just, just how Emmanuel was.
Was Tyson the best puncher you've seen in your life?
I would think so. When he's young and he's very explosive, he was a quickness. Anyway, he do one knock shot with one, but most likely he's doing 2 and 3 at a time to hit you with that one.
Was who in their prime pound for pound was better, you think, Roy or Mike? I mean, it's hard when you're talking about a heavyweight.
It's hard. Listen, I always say this. There's heavyweights and there's real fighters. I'm
spoken like a little guy.
Spoken like a little guy, exactly. Just because but honestly, how they train, how they look, how they act, everything mentality is totally different than the smaller guy. So it's kind of hard because Mike was so explosive. I mean, I would have to take Mike for that one because he was so quick and explosive, and strong, just fast. You know what I'm saying? And he don't care who you are. You're walking down, he would make sure he walked Roy down. But then Roy's just so slick, but he's in the problem. Man, I don't think he can corner him up. So it's kind of both ways. I mean, kind of like a 50-50 on that one.
Was Roy in his prime the most gifted fighter you've ever seen? Okay. Yes. Yeah, just gifts, not skill, just gifts.
But just things that he can do. Same with like Floyd. Things that Floyd can just do, just like no matter how you try your lifetime, you just can't get them done. Just some people are gifted like that.
Yeah.
And Roy was extremely gifted. So my thing with Roy is, because I was with him the night that he won the heavyweight title against Ruiz. My thing is, and I listen, that night he was like 210 pounds and he felt like this ball. He was so solid. And then for him to take the other fight and go back down to 175, Tarver at 175, 178, it was crazy. It took the life out of him.
It ended his prime.
It did. And that I honestly think that's what stopped him. He can still be great and everything. That really ruined his boxing.
Do you think, and ultimately, just to close on that, do you think it's 8 rounds a long time? Is someone going to get hurt, or are these guys going to keep it under, control?
That's the thing. I mean, we all professionals can keep it under control and stuff like that, but certain times when you're talking about a fight scene, the small guys on headgear, somebody's gonna let it go. Some of them. Mine are Mike because he's the aggressor. Roy can probably box, because he knows how to box and adjust and move and work with somebody. And Mike doesn't know how to work with somebody.
Right.
He's never like learned how to just like carry somebody. He's gonna try to knock you out, even sparring and everything like that. So, but Roy knows how to work.
That's what everyone keeps telling me, though. Mike only knows how to fight one way, so...
Well, that's what we're hoping. I mean,
right.
Deep down, we're hoping not, but then we are. Everybody's like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's like...
If you spending $50, you want to see something happen.
Exactly. You're like, oh, man, I want to see good boxing. But you know what? Honestly, you really want to see something happen. Somebody get knocked out. So that's the reason I get I lean toward Mike.
Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Are these guys, you think in 8 rounds they're going to be able to hold back all 8 rounds, or you think at some point something might break out?
Yeah, something might break out because if one of them get hit, man, especially with Tyson, he only had one gear. Roy kind of know how to play around a little bit and have fun, but Mike, I can't see Mike really doing it no other way. So I think it might be like a good sparring match type fight.
But is it? Even when Mike's throwing at 50%, could that still lead to something bad, like something bad for Roy Jones?
The crazy thing to me is I can't imagine him going 8 rounds, not going like how can he box 8 rounds like without trying to end it early? That's kind of the thing to me. That's going to be the thing to see.
Mike Tyson doing the whole exhibition with Roy Jones. I have to ask you, because you worked with Mike, what's your thoughts on that whole thing? And is this
Well, I think it's a good deal because, for what I understand, the money, a lot of money is going to be going to charity. And I think that's a great thing for both of those guys to say, you know what, we're going to do this, but we're going to, give the money to charity. And I think that's good for both guys. And it's good for the sport of boxing to show that fighters do have a heart and that they can, at their age, get back in there and raise money to help others.
Now I have to ask you about the fight. I know it's an exhibition. People are, they might have headgear, or I'm not exactly sure on the whole thing.
They're not having headgear. They have the 12-ounce gloves on.
Is this safe for Roy Jones? I know we've seen Roy go up and do the John Ruiz thing, but this is Mike Tyson. Like, does Mike still pose that threat? Like, is this smart for Roy? Do you think Roy could maybe touch the canvas a little bit? Like, would it go that far?
Look, I think people forget how good Roy Jones was as a fighter. Roy is, that's something that you never forget. You don't ever forget, your skills. And Roy was a skilled fighter. So, being at the same saying that, of course Mike is a good puncher, he's a big puncher. But Roy knows how to roll for punches, he knows how to catch punches, and, he knows all these different things. So I'm sure that has never left him. And I'm sure he still has those capabilities. So I think it's, we're going to have to wait and see. But, I think these guys do realize that it is an exhibition, but they want to put their best foot forward at the same time. But I don't think they're going to go in there and try to kill each other.
If you were in the corner of Mike now or the corner of Roy, like, what would you tell Roy he needs to do? Or what would you tell Mike you would need to do in this exhibition to have great success?
Well, if I was in the corner with Roy, definitely I'd tell him, look, try not just hold the gun of the ring, step around with your jab, don't get trapped on the ropes or in the corner, and just try to keep the fight in the middle of the ring. And of course, if I was on the other side with Mike, I'd tell Mike to back him up, try to get him in the corner or on the ropes, and try to use all that to your advantage. Don't let him move. Make him have to stay and fight, not be able to sit on the outside and box you.
Best trainers in the sport, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Eddie, I know you know some Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, is that right?
No doubt, I know both of them very well.
What would you say was your favorite performance Mike Tyson had?
When he won the title, when he knocked out Trevor Berbick. One shot, he fell 3 times.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. What was it that made Mike a great fighter in your eyes?
Well, Mike came to fight. He didn't come to feel you out. First round, he want to feel you out. Nah. Bell ring for the first round, he came to fight.
Was he the best puncher you've ever seen, or?
One of them. You got George Foreman, Ernie Shavers, Jeff Merritt, who they don't talk about. Those guys were pure punchers.
We put Wilder in there maybe too, or he can't?
Well, Wilder's kind of so-so. You know, I mean, he can punch, don't get me wrong, but he got to get you on the end of his punches. You know, he can't go short punches and knock you out. He got to get you on the end of his punches.
Right, with Wilder, it's just the right hand, but with Mike, it's every punch, both hands.
Shavers, every punch. You know, Foreman, in any punch.
When was the first time you watched Mike and you said, he don't look the same now? It looks like he's something's missing. Was it out of prison? Because I know he knocked out Razor Ruddock even after he lost the title and before he. So when was the first time you saw him, Eddie, and you said, I don't know, Mike's not Mike?
Well, it's been a while. We're from the same neighborhood in Brooklyn, me and Mike.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brownsville section of Brooklyn. Yeah, so I've been watching Mike for a long time.
Right.
You know, I even boxed with Mike on a few occasions. You know, and listen, once he got his balance together, instead of squaring up all the time, he could be a hell of a fighter.
It's funny, he said, Evander Holyfield once talked to me, and he said that's how he got out of the way of everything. He square himself up and squat down, and he knew what was coming. So.
Yeah, but you can't do that. You can't square up. Because I can just touch you, and you're off balance, and you can go down. That's a knockdown. Yeah, you can't do that.
What was it like when you sparred with him?
Getting out the way, you know, no doubt about it. I wasn't going to stand in front of Mike. You know, he was a harder puncher.
Right.
So I had to be the better boxer. That's all that was.
Would he work in those sessions, or was he pretty much just going?
No, he was working. We had to go to work, you know. He asked me to come up to the Catskills where he trained at. So I drove up, and we got in the ring and we got down. It was a good session.
He had Jose Torres up there too back at that time too.
Yeah.
It was trained. So
right. Yeah, I've been knowing Mike way back.
Where would you put him among the heavyweight? Top 10, top 5, all time?
I would put Mike in the top 5.
Damn.
Because it was, you know, mostly because of his reputation. They were scared of Mike. When they got in the ring, they were defeated already. You know, that's just how it was. And then Mike would just go walk right to you and let his hands go.
Did he have the fastest hands in heavy?
Him and Floyd Patterson, Ali, they had fast hands.
These guys got 8 rounds to go. 8 rounds is a long time to go without a meaningful punch getting thrown. Do you think something happens here? Someone gets hurt in this fight?
Between Mike?
Roy and Mike, yeah. Because it's supposed to be an exhibition, but man, 8 rounds is a long time.
Well, you can make a slip.
Yeah, you can slip in 8 rounds.
That's what I'm talking about. But, you know, listen, they're professionals. They know if I hurt one guy, I'm not going to take advantage of him because, again, it's only an exhibition. This is not a real fight. And it all depends what type of gloves they're wearing. You know, so it's an exhibition.
So we don't want a Rocky IV.
Not at all.
It's supposed to be an exhibition match.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think about Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson, 54, 51 having a fight?
Well, I think this is, you know, people these days, their bodies are being preserved better. You know, supplementation, food, science, just exercise science, everything's improved, you know, and athletes are now proving. You've only got to look at someone like Roger Federer in his sport to see what he's still achieving at his age, whereas, you know, people would have not have believed that possible years ago. So I think it's wonderful. You know, and I think it's good. To me, age is just a number. I had my last fight at 42 and I fought someone 24 or 22 who was around there. I won easily and I felt 18, you know, I felt fantastic. So I don't think age is a problem. It's more in your mind. Eventually, of course, it does catch up with all of us, but you know, I think athletes can go longer. We've got two brilliant boxers here in this fight. It's a very interesting matchup. If you take away the age, although I suppose the age is going to be one of the biggest factors, who has aged the best? That will be interesting to see whose body has been preserved the best. I also heard a rumour here that there's going to be head guards on and that the intention is not to KO. Now that is an interesting sort of thing to say, because I believe that possibly swings the odds a little bit more towards Roy Jones Jr., who, as we know, tactically is an absolutely brilliant boxer. Incredibly tactically and gifted athletic boxer. However, if you were to see what happened with him with Danny Green, you'd realise that if Mike Tyson went all out, that absolute brute power. And I think people do underestimate Tyson's boxing skills. He's not just all power. His ability to get inside an opponent without suffering too much punishment. He knows that most boxers, because he's relatively short for a heavyweight, will try to keep him long, and he's mastered the art of getting in close, and he's absolutely devastating in close. But if you somehow take this guy who's got a shotgun and take the shotgun off him and put a 22 in his hand, you know, then that maybe tips the odds more towards Roy Jones Jr. So I'm a little bit concerned. I think the two factors in this fight that will determine the outcome: who's aged the best, in other words, who is still really younger in this fight, and the other one will be just the rules of this fight. If you know we drop the contact back a bit, that gives a massive advantage over Roy Jones Jr.
Do you believe it still sells and it'll sell?
I think if they want to sell the fight, I think they've got to tell people it's a real fight. That's the key. It's got to be a real fight. As soon as someone starts saying, "Oh, you can't hit that hard," and you take away Mike Tyson's biggest weapon is his absolutely awesome power, you know, you may as well say put one hand behind your back. Say, you know, why would you do that? I don't think, put the head guards on, yeah, if you want to do that, that's honest. But I think you've got to be very honest with this. Don't say the intention is not to, just go, no, it's full on, but there's head guards. That's what I would do.
Would you like to watch it?
Oh, if they said they were going to go light to the head, it wouldn't have much interest. But if they said, no, it's full power, but they've got head guards, I still think Mike Tyson then possibly wins that fight, because he's just got that absolutely brutal power that, you know, when he hits people, the savagery inside and the skill of getting in, and just, he's devastating. So, you know, I would still probably back Mike Tyson, but if they drop the contact back, I'd probably favour Roy Jones Jr.